Are we live?
Every week that my husband says, so did Tony start it with, are we live? It's almost like a game for him.
It's like our catchphrase. It's our thing we do.
You know what? We're just gonna weird everyone out one of these days, and then just be like, "Hello, good morning." And be like so on it.
You used to do you used to produce like a morning TV show. I mean, how do you start out all that stuff? How do you do that in TV?
Well, so we have like a set time that you have to be on air. Hi, Dad. And so at like 5 a.m., you had to be on the air, and like our cameras went up even if you weren't ready. So like there's been plenty of times, and I think, what was I watching the other day? I was watching NBC, the Today Show. And like Savannah, like they came back from Al's weather, and Savannah was like sitting there. She's like, oh, sorry. She like had her phone, and it happens so often.
Oh wow!
And like I am just that producer that would get in their ear and be like, get off, put it down. Like I was just known to like have conversations in their ears. Be like, see,
put the phone down.
Pay attention to me. This is me pressing the button to like talk to them.
So you want to start off with, are we live? Are we on yet?
No. We also had like opening credits that roll. And when you're in the studio and you're looking at the camera, like if you're an anchor or a reporter, there's like a red button that goes on.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, how you doing? Jeff Heck actually, we're gonna have a guest from 33 Forever that Jeff and his wife and Donna and their family founded in honor of their daughter. And we'll get into that. So thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Brennan currently has a fundraiser helping raise money for OSPF. Thank you. That's so kind of you.
And thank you for all you do, because that's the only way that we can ever do anything that we do. It is through your support, not only, financial, but also kind notes, and, all that good stuff. Last night, Keiko and I were kind of, we had gotten a message from some poor young lady in North Carolina that had been bullied online, and, trying to help her with some of the issues. So, so thank you for all, thanks for everything. And is that Mama?
That's my mom. Yeah. My friends call her Mama Chloe.
Mama Chloe?
Yes, her real name is Claudette, but all her friends called her Chloe.
Oh.
So then my friends took it over and called her Mama Chloe.
So I'll call her Claw.
You can call her Claw. That's fine.
Hey, and there's Donna right there.
Hi, Donna.
We've got Jeff and Donna.
There we go.
Exciting.
So what's new with you?
You know what I did yesterday? I had lunch with a friend in a restaurant.
What was it like?
It was a very, very strange. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because there were only we went to a large restaurant and there were like 4 tables filled. And, my friend and I were one. Actually, well, I shouldn't say my friend. It's
not your friend and your enemy?
The guy we had on last week. And I know, oh my God. Gabe, I almost called him Glenn. I couldn't think of Glenn.
Oh my God, I really hope that Gabe's watching right now, because I feel like he would be personally offended.
So Gabe and I went, and no, they didn't require a mask at all, and they just came and sat us, and it was like you kind of went, it was odd seeing people. Nobody had a mask on, except the waiters, and then but every time it was like, well, great, my fork, does it have COVID? Does this tablecloth? Does the glass? Does the oh, great, my spaghetti at Spaghetti Warehouse. Does the meat sauce have some kind of COVID? I mean, you go, it was very, very strange. And
yeah.
3 months ago.
So, I find it so weird too that like, you're like, I went and had lunch. I'm like, what is that like? Whereas like in the past, I would have been like, cool, on to the next thing. It's a weird time we're living in right now.
Yes.
So weird.
So yeah, that was has anybody else had lunch or dinner or something out that you haven't done in a couple months? Those who are watching, because it's a very strange, it's a strange feeling.
It is. I had a friend last week, actually, because I feel like we discussed like, oh, are you ready to go out and eat? And I actually had a friend over the weekend ask me like, hey, do you want to meet up for dinner tonight? And I was like, no. And I was just honest with her. I was like, listen, like, I love that places are open. I really do want to see you, but like, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, that's fine. Donna said that she hasn't gone out yet either for lunch, dinner.
If you would have liked your friend better, if they were a closer friend, would you have went out with the person?
Wow, that's a very on the spot question. I like her just enough. No, I just listen. We're also trying to figure out like seeing our in-laws. So my parents, my husband's parents, because like my son's birthday is coming up and we just haven't seen everyone. And I want to see everybody, but like I am just so nervous. And that's family. So like it's no shade against my friend. It's to everyone. I just get nervous.
Well, Brennan said he went out and it felt good. So
that's awesome.
That is good. And it was very odd to me. So
restaurant followed CDC guidance and were very friendly. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. And we got to do what we got to do. And then, I read an article today. It kind of, it made me feel a little bit better that we went there. That I read an article that during COVID, 300,000 of the 580,000 restaurant workers lost their jobs. Were unemployed. So, that's over half.
Yeah.
Which is frightening to us. So, wear a mask, get out there to a restaurant, we got to support those restaurants out there. So
I've been ordering curbside and I feel like that's still supporting.
That
just
you are
my own comfort.
You are very supportive, Keiko.
I'm trying to be.
And that's what we appreciate about you. You're so supportive. Now, I don't know if your friend would say that since you bailed on her for lunch. So
no, she had her husband. She was fine. Don't try and get me in trouble. I want my friends here. I gotta keep the ones I got.
Stir the pot here.
I know you are a huge pot stir. There's nothing cooking. Move to the next burner. Brendan says, I respect everyone's safety choices, but at the end of the day, we're all human. We need interaction. And I was depressed being stuck at home for so long. I get that. I feel that. I feel like I battle with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I respect everyone who wants to get out, and I want to get there. I'm just not quite there yet. I let my son play with our neighbors. Oh. That was big for me.
Wow. Yeah. How? And like, had he seen the neighbors for a while?
No, I mean, like, we see them passing. It's two little girls. They live next door. The oldest one, like, just finished first grade.
Wow.
And the other day, they were outside. And he was outside. And I was like, okay, yeah, go ahead. And the amount of joy that was on his face to see and play with other kids, he's been asking for his friends ever since. Like, they knocked on our door last night, and they were like, can we play with Owen? So I let him play with them for, like, 5 minutes before dinner. You know, that's what's really sad is that, like, kids don't understand this stuff. Yeah. And it's like, how you can tell a kid, don't get too close.
Well, and I mean, let's be honest. Every time Owen sees me, and if you see me and call out for, the big T here.
Listen, anytime that I join like a meeting and he's in the room, he's like, Tony. I brought this chair home from the office and I had it in the living room because I didn't bring it downstairs yet. And he goes, Tony chair. I go, no, this is mommy's chair. No, Tony chair. Like, what the heck? He does. I don't know what it is about you, but my son adores you.
Well, a lot of people have called me the songbird of my generation. So, yes, I did. I got a haircut. I'm so excited. I'm looking human again. For a bit, I was looking kind of like one of the Doobie Brothers. If you remember back in the 70s, Doobie Brothers, which was, not a good look for me. So, Medina County.
Brennan, I'm from Southern Medina County, and we live in the country. Outside person for 30 years. Feels so weird when I'm told to stay home. Yeah. No, I get that. It's also been like so nice out this past week. I mean, not today. It's like pouring rain right now. But it's been so nice out.
Yeah.
How was your Memorial Day weekend? Didn't your son come home?
Came home. Everything was fine. We bought my wife a new, different car, a used car. So, that was fun. But I don't know, just, you can't do anything with a kid. So, we went out, played basketball. He's a 21-year-old weightlifter and challenged me to basketball, and I got destroyed. And, so every day I get closer to just, I guess, becoming a non-athlete. So
I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to let everybody know that I once again beat you in our Apple Watch fitness competition.
Last week was rough for me as far as you've been beating me. I haven't beat you once this year.
I know, that's the third competition. And I got to tell you, the only person that I can beat is you. My other friend, she had, not that I have many friends on my Apple Watch, but my other friend's training for a marathon. I'm done competing against you. So I enjoy competing with you, Tony. It's fun.
Thank you. I'm a slug. So be proud of yourself.
You're perfect the way you are.
Oh, you're such a, I don't know.
Jason's joining us today. Hello, Jason. Thank you for joining.
Now, was your mom putting it that I'm a slug? That's one way of putting it. Or is she referring to something else?
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past her, to be honest. She means it in the most loving way.
Absolutely. I hope one day to meet your mother. One day we'll have a baby. About
I don't know about that.
Have they ever been to Ohio to visit your house here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My dad actually moved us in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my dad drove. We both have our own cars. So my husband drove his car with the dogs, and then my dad drove my car with me and my son. So my dad has actually moved me into every house I've ever lived in.
Wow.
Shout out to you, Pops. My mom meant it about not being an athlete, she said.
Oh, yes.
Brennan wants to know if we are part of the foundation. Yes. I am actually the executive director.
I've heard that.
Just kidding. Tony is the executive director. I am just the communications manager.
No, you are the one who runs the place. Anything gets out there publicly has to go through you. So,
it's true.
you know, and I was in state government enough that the only way you get to the top is you mess up enough. So that's how you get promoted. Nobody else knows what to do with you. So I have learned you surround yourself with the best and the smartest people, and they make you look good. So to you, except for Apple Watch, you make me look really good. So speaking of making someone look good, we have a guest today. So we have Sara Bennett from 33 Forever.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. Excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Excellent. Have you been to a restaurant?
I have not been to a restaurant, but I am a proud points earner for DoorDash, for all of my Uber Eats accounts. Yeah, I'm hitting them up. The restaurants are definitely getting some patronage from the Bennett household.
So tell us a little bit about 33 Forever.
Yeah, so last February, so 2019, we lost my sister, my older sister, to suicide. She lost her battle with depression, and I'm one of 6. And so our big family basically came together within about a week and said, we don't want any other family touched by this kind of event, or, you know, we just wanted to make a positive impact, really inspired by Danny. She wanted to make an impact and change lives and inspire. And that's pretty much how we sort of carry her legacy on, because she is 33 Forever, and so are we.
Yeah, and, you know, I've grown quite fond of your mom and dad, and you know,
they just said hi. Hi, Donna. And hi, Brennan.
So one of the things that you know, I think a lot of folks, you know, when they think of someone who, you know, is suicidal or struggles with depression or mental illness, that, you know, there's this stereotype of who, you know, this is, that they're somehow, you know, and I don't mean to be, you know, cruel, but I'm trying to describe the stereotype that a lot of folks you know, have told me they see, you know, that they're drooling, or they're hospitalized, or they're talking to themselves. And, you know, your sister was not any of that. Quite successful, on the other hand.
Yeah. So she struggled with issues related to depression, body image, self-worth, which many younger adolescent women and men do. But she was, you know, we always joke that she's like the most successful one out of all of us, because she's driving an awesome car and she's having a person come to instruct yoga at her adorable DC apartment. And, you know, she was just such a light. And I think that it's not to say that she didn't have challenges, because that's just not the case. But what we do talk about in our family and now in our organization is that she wore a mask, and sometimes she would be bright and shiny on the outside, but was really struggling and didn't feel comfortable having that frank, kind of honest discussion. And she was a really open girl. You know, she's very, you know, outgoing, but people who look like anyone or act like anyone, you know, it has no face. And so we really encourage people to have those open conversations and to take off the mask.
And from what your mom's told me is that she loved shoes too. I mean, she was shoes. Yes,
she got these like Louboutin boots for her coworker. You know, like she didn't just love shoes for herself. She loved, you know, she got my nephew his first pair of Ray-Bans when he like was not even 6 months old. So yeah, she was about the shoe and the shades for sure.
That's awesome.
So was as you know, you were one of 6, and I mean, with mental illness and depression, it seems there's almost ebbs and flows. Was it a, was this, tell me what Danny was like when, when she was really feeling up, and then, were there changes that you saw when she was struggling with her depression, or?
Yeah. So one of the things that I feel we saw as a family is just that, she would have times where she would be extraordinary and effervescent and kind of pouring herself into others, and very much did that with work as well. But then I think there was this burnout, there's sort of this exhaustion, like I'm pouring myself into so much else other than myself. I think she would get sort of depleted. Mm-hmm. But again, she would go years having, a treatment plan, and, she was medicated and in therapy and working her programs. And I definitely think that there are times in people's lives that are easier and harder. And she had big challenges in her personal life, in, losing people she knew. And I think that through it all, she's always sort of was showing resilience and, would have these ebbs and flows, but we, were very surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Was mental health ever like a topic of discussion in your house growing up?
Yeah. Not when I was very young, but certainly I've had my own struggles with mental health starting at around 8th grade. And so I'm no stranger to the conversation. And so in our household, I think it was more prevalent than probably other households. I think, Mandy, my sister, is on right now and said she would withdraw when she was low. So, less text messages, less chatting, check-ins, that sort of thing. Agreed, Mandy.
So you could almost, you could almost see it by if she's not called for a few weeks or hasn't texted, or, you knew she was struggling.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And is that, knowing what you do about mental health, is that a sign for, of depression, do you think?
I think it's something that everybody should be aware of. We're not responsible for any other person, but I do think that if there's a noticeable change or even a subtle change and you're like, oh, that's sort of different, I think that checking in matters. It makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. And especially now when we're all so isolated from, one another, it could, it could be really important to check in on someone else.
Yeah. I say all the time that we are at a critical point when it comes to mental health. We are really in crisis as a global community. And I think that now more than ever, it's time to talk about it, and it's time to share your story. And if you can't share your story, donate to programs that do, or share stories of other people who do, to kind of reduce that stigma and normalize it to the point where, if I have a hurt knee and I take a medication, I want it to be like, oh, of course you do. Like, yeah, don't miss it. That's really one of our goals. We want to shine the light on that.
Excellent. And then, like you said, about a week after, the family got together and says, we've got to do something. How did that conversation start? And what was, I can imagine, some families want to kind of cave in on themselves. Family wanted to be out there and be able to stop this. How was that conversation?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think all of us wanted to cave in, but I also think that it was really a dialogue between my parents. They were driving. They had to drive to Washington, D.C. and handle matters there. And Donna just said, this can't happen again. We have to tell our story. And we're not the experts. And I don't want anybody to think that we're, you know, mental health professionals, but we are the face of an all too common story. And I think that we just want to do whatever we can to make those stories fewer. And we've said that before, you know, if we can, you know, change one life or change one conversation, which we know has already happened since 33's inception, you know, it will have been worth starting, you know, it will have been worth trying. And so it's been something that has been a labor of love, and I hope has helped us heal. It's also challenging at times, right? Because these conversations come up and it requires us to do a lot of work in processing ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And was there any consideration of, you know, or maybe even now that, you know, this is, you know, you've had time on your belt, you've had, you know, great recognition. You know, we've heard of you down in Columbus, and I've had, you know, had the blessing to have dinner with your parents and a couple coffee dates at that little shop in Lexington there, the coffee shop. Is this, you know, I can imagine, you know, Danny would want this to be a legacy of hers as well. Do you think?
Yeah. So when Danny went through different programs and was in different rehabilitation spaces throughout her, you know, struggles and ups and downs, she found a passion for then kind of circling back to those types of programs and providing support for young women. Mm-hmm. And she had said that she went to many conferences about, you know, coaching women and being a support system. And absolutely, this is her love, but it's our labor. And I think that it is very much, we're reaching people because of her.
Mm-hmm.
And how exactly do you reach people? Like, I know that you're sharing Danny's story and everything. Yeah. What else are you guys doing?
Yeah, so a lot. There are a lot of arms to the things that we're working on. But one of the ways is through my role in educational programming. So reaching out to schools and connecting schools with resources and students with resources. Also, we're really about, you know, promoting kids who are fighting the fight, you know, so we have a couple of scholarships in Danny's name to support young people at a pivotal time in their life. And we're excited about that. We're also reaching people right now through Instagram, through our Facebook and Twitter. We are very excited about a lot of the events that we have planned. Obviously, some, not all, are postponed. But there are a lot of different things. We have a golf outing in the fall that we're really looking forward to. So it's through social media primarily at this point, but many other things that we're excited about our outreach and trying to connect with other agencies, you know, trying to connect with other nonprofits, working with advocacy groups, you know, because it's not just about awareness and reducing stigma. It's about funding, and it's about resources that exist that are available for people. And that's something that we really care about too.
You've also, you shared with us earlier, you're a teacher in high school.
Yeah, I teach 9th through 12th grade at Tays Valley High School. It's in Pickaway County. So I teach psychology and American government, and I also teach a global issues class.
Oh, wow. What's the global issues class?
It's like current events, but world stuff. It's like skipping the domestic piece and really just focusing on all of this other cool stuff that's happening.
Very. So what is the, what was the thing you were talking about before COVID hit?
Well, once COVID hit, we talked a lot about COVID, but every day they would want the first 5 or 10 minutes to be speaking about that. But we were actually talking about the Brexit timeline. We talked about Russia and cybersecurity. Those were like our chapters that we were looking at prior to departing, you know, for our extended break.
Thought I'd try to catch you, see if you remember.
I do. Yeah. I just finished grading this week. So
I was going to say, you guys are done with school, right?
Yeah. We just had our graduation and like last day and everything like that within the last week.
Wow.
So do you see like mental health issues with young people in schools? I mean,
yeah.
how do kids react?
Yeah, it's tremendous. I think teaching psychology gives me a really unique window to have more frank conversations or more probing conversations. You know, I'm not sure in all classes if that dialogue happens, but what I really find is that young people are more anxious and more depressed. They are struggling with resilience building. They are struggling with the amount of information that is put in their face or is placed in their face every day. I think that social media has created really good connections for people, but it's also created some significant disconnect and comparison and things like that, that I just didn't see 10 years ago because I've been teaching 12 years. So I have noticed a shift during that time, and it is so paramount. I just see them as so in need. And yeah, it's more than it's been. And also they are talking about it more, which I was just about to
ask you that.
They do talk about it more. Yes. Like people used to not say, oh, my anxiety. And now people are like, no, my anxiety right now. And I'm like, I see you. Go take a lap. And so in that way, it's cool to see them label. It's also curious because some overlabel or mislabel. And so that's a cool opportunity for dialogue, right? To say, hey, I don't know if you really understand what you're saying by calling yourself, you know, OCD about this. I'm like, that is paralyzing for others. Like, let's be sensitive and cognizant about the way that we speak.
Now, without obviously like naming people, but what are some of the things that, you know, are causing some of these issues for them?
Yeah. So one of the things is like, I saw the girls, they went and did this thing. I wasn't there. I saw it on their story. I wasn't invited. Why am I not invited? Just that. So then I tweet about it and then they tweet back at me, or then they put some other shade on my story. It's just very, you know, when I left school, and I'm not that old, I'm not that young, but I'm not that old. And I would just like be done with the drama of the day, which there was a lot when I was in high school. But then at 3:30, I got to shut it off, and they're on their phones till 3:30 in the morning. And so I think lack of sleep plays a role. I think comparison, you know, oh, they're on this vacation, I want to be on that vacation, I don't have the money for that, you know, I don't have the body for that, whatever, just kind of intrusive, not true thoughts that can exist for a teenager.
So now that you said that, I think the question everybody wants to know is, how old are you? I'm just kidding.
No, I'm 33. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And we'll be grateful for my birthday next week. Absolutely.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Thanks.
Anything you want? What do you want for you?
Yeah, I want a treadmill because I'm going to build my little home gym, and I want a weighted blanket because I'm just hearing amazing things. So yeah, just those two. No big wishes.
Things about weighted blankets.
Yeah, I hear amazing things, and my sleep has been jacked during this break. So whatever I can do to soothe my soul.
I like that you were just like right there. You were like, yep, I want a treadmill, I want a weighted blanket right now.
Girl, my wish list is done. Yes, always. I know what I want for Christmas too.
So, Jeff, Lana, Mandy, you have your
family's watching.
You've got your orders now, yeah. So
they have a treadmill they want me to have.
So, since you know, we talked about the kids that you teach, has being, you know, the education chair and being, you know, starting 33 Forever, has that kind of changed the way either you look at the issues that kids are dealing with, or how to help them, or what's that done to you? Or, you know, how has Danny's, you know, story even helped you?
Yeah. So I tell my story to my students. I say, hey, this is me, and I put it all out there. And I think through vulnerability, even though there are challenges that come with that, I think being vulnerable allows them to trust me and be vulnerable. I also started doing this thing called Friday Question. This is like last year, like after I lost her. And I just said, you know what? We're going to carve out time every single week. You know, on Fridays, they're antsy anyway. And I'm like, let's just talk about life. Like, so we would put questions in like a jar, like a fishbowl, and I would pull it out. And it always had something to do with nothing, or, you know, what's your Chipotle order? Like, it's random, but it gave us a window into each other's lives. And then I could parse out if I heard a story or if I saw a face mate or whatever. I felt like I just knew them more fully, like really saw the whole kid, which I always was that way, but much more after a loss like this, that I just have been even more vulnerable with them, and probably even more about the whole child as opposed to the learner.
Oh, I love that. I feel like and this is no shade at teachers, but I feel like not often do you hear about a teacher like really tuning in on who the student is as a person. It's like so much focus is on what they need to get done in class. But it seems like what you're doing is just like, hey, let's just like drop all the barriers. Let's just be real people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We call my classroom the 712 fam, because I'm in room 712, and I'm like, you don't know it yet, but you're all going to just be in love with each other when this is all over. And at the end, they always say that. At the end, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. I was like, I'm in your head. I told you it's going to happen. Community will be built. But it's really nice because we do have conversations that I never had my first couple of years of teaching, because I was so young. You know, when you're 22 and you're teaching kids who are 18, I said, I mean, I have to be like more tough because I'm old, right? Like, I'm the boss. And I just totally let that go now. Now I'm totally the mom. I adopt them all. Yeah.
Have you been able to reach, like, still keep that connection even during all of this stay-at-home stuff?
No. Teaching is inherently human, right? Like, teaching is a human social interaction. So is it the same? No.
Right.
Have I tried? Yeah, but there's nothing like looking at a face, you know, and I miss them. And it was very obvious to me that I am meant to be in that role and with those kids, because I'm fiending. I went to graduation and we had a parade and I wanted to just grab them all. I was like,
Jeff says you're an amazing, life-changing teacher.
Yeah, thank you, Dad.
And he says special woman. You're getting, did you like pay all of them to say all these things?
No, oh my gosh, this is my former student is on. Hi, Kay.
Oh,
look at that. I graduated in 2018. Mrs. Bennett helped me through all the stresses and anxiety in high school. Her help and self-awareness has done more for me than she knows. One of the best people I know. Oh my God, I just got chills on my arm.
I love you.
That is so nice.
we've been doing this for 8 weeks. Nobody has ever said that about me.
No.
Are amazing.
Caitlin, I'll Venmo you later, girl. Just kidding.
But I'm sure with your kids, I'm sure, you know, you can see that mental health probably impacts grades and all of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I actually got rid of tests in one of my classes that's an untested area because it was creating so much nervousness and tension and anxiety that I was like, let's just do like reflection questions, like 10 questions that are just like your opinion and defend it so that I can see that you're learning, but like you don't feel out of control. And I think that there is this expectation that they have to be all things, or what if they mess up? What if? And I'm like, the messing up is the learning. The screw up is the lesson, is the learning. I think that's fine, but they have a hard time with that. And so, yeah, I've tried to adapt some of that. Or, you know, I do supplemental credit. So if a student bombs a test, that's not their whole quarter, you know, I can't justify that. So I've tried to adapt in the ways that I can, but yeah, it definitely impacts them. Absences, I've seen a lot more like anxiety related absences. Okay. Probably in the last 3 years. I've seen more of that.
Has being involved in creating, you know, with your parents 33 Forever, has it made you a better teacher?
I hope so. I mean, I think having significant adversity makes you a better person, because it makes you have a different lens. And yeah, so I think the loss, and also trying to, like, you know, Danny's was a really brave person and gutsy. And so I like to channel her sometimes, you know. I like have a jacket of hers, I'll like rock her jacket, and I'm like so much tougher now. I'm like extremely strong now. So yeah, I think the whole thing, you know, there's got to be some light in some of that. So
when you say she was gutsy, what is that?
Chick is bold. She just says what she thinks. She says her opinion. She's just, it's all out there. And she would just check you if you needed checked. And, you know, she just had major sass, and it was so great. Life of the party isn't even the right term. Like, she just changed the energy of a room. Like, she just is all out there, and just a very, very special, absolutely irreplaceable kind of person.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what is 33 Forever doing now? I mean,
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of things. We have some, I'm going to change my position here. We've had some, we just had an awesome fundraising month, and we encourage everybody listening to check out our website and to see what kind of events we have going on. Also this summer, we're going to continue to try to reach people virtually. We had a couple of events that were scheduled in the spring with universities, trying to connect with Greek life. I'll speak to kind of what the educational programming work is, but we're trying to connect with Greek life because that's a great way to access students, and just sort of looking at how we can connect them to mental health professionals and resources, and, you know, just to give people some hope, and also to just know that there's a lot available, and we can help, I mean, hopefully make it more available to them.
Excellent. And your website is scrolling down at the bottom.
Yeah, thank you for that. So on our website, you'll see more about Danny's story. You can read more about her life, and also just about our mission. One of my favorite things on our page is the Why We Do It page, and that has real life stories from people we know, some we don't know very well, who have talked about how 33 Forever or how mental health has just impacted them and their recovery. And, you know, I told you, if one person says 33 Forever made an impact, then we're glad that we started 33 Forever. And there's a handful of people on that website. And yeah, that's our girl. And, you know, she's changing lives still now. So it is very much an honor to be a part of the organization. We are getting sort of a team of experts together. Dad, maybe you can help me out. There's a board, basically an advisory board that we're going to put together where we can speak to, you know, top psychiatrists and mental health treatment facility, you know, operators, people who can just give us information about how we can help them best.
Oh, that's awesome.
You mentioned that, you know, that some people you don't even know that have reached out to you. I mean, what does that feel like when, like, someone you might not ever meet in your entire life?
Yeah.
Somehow your work has done something to impact a complete stranger.
Yeah. So we had a message from, you know, a kid in a different country, and we were all on we have a family chat, and we have a 33 Forever board chat, and we have, you know, so we're all chatting about this young man who is speaking about some of his challenges. And, you know, it can be emotional because, and it can feel, you know, we've called EMS on people who have threatened to take their life, you know, so it can be emotionally taxing, and you feel, again, this sort of sense of responsibility, but we just try to put them in a position to get help. And that's what we can do.
Awesome.
It's surreal. Surreal is the word. When you get like a message from somebody who is, you know, 4 or 5 time zones away, you're like, wow, that's really interesting. So it's nice to feel like we're reaching people.
That speaks volumes, though, about like the great work that you guys are doing, that you're able to reach people from like so far away who like want to come to you and want the help. That's awesome.
It definitely started local, but it's exploded, and we're just getting started. This is only, you know, a year and a half into our creation, so we'll be around.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I really, you know, have enjoy getting to know, you know, your mom and dad's, you know, well, and the work that you're doing, my God. And, you know, they're always offering too. Whatever you need from us, you let us know. So it's not like there's a limit to what you want to do. You just literally want to save lives and help.
Yeah. Yeah. Donna and Jeff Heck are real life superheroes. We say it all the time. So we stand behind them. They can do anything.
They call me Fat Thor at.
Oh my gosh.
I doubt it.
Nobody called you that.
I know. I just made that up. I played a game not too long ago.
Oh.
That's terrible. So, what do you have any, like, when kids go back to school in the fall? Is you know, what do you do? Presentations? Do you do programming? What is it that you'll do when kids go back to school?
As far as
like 33 Forever.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that my school did, that Taze Valley did, was have Nationwide Children's Hospital come in and assess all of our freshmen. And based on those, well, they train the staff, and then the staff assess them. And then based on those assessments, they basically get a score. And if it's a certain score, then they are sort of flagged and tagged. They're like, hey, we need to see you next week. Or they're like, hey, we need to contact your parents. Or, hey, we'll check in with you next month, or whatever. So based on that, we got a really good understanding of kids' risk level. And it asked the questions that they may have never been asked. And it's just a really lovely program. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to connect, not just nationwide, but we're also looking at Akron Children's, just seeing if there are other places that focus on, you know, mental health diagnoses. By the time you're 12, you know, that's what the data shows, that we're starting to see those symptoms or even those diagnoses. So early intervention is key. And so that's, you know, trying to connect them 100%. And then Dad's also mentioning that we sponsor and support NAMI, Ending the Silence program. So really speaking up and speaking out.
Absolutely.
And it's not just,
so
I was going to say, it's just not just about speaking up about your own story, right? It's like speaking up for other people, and, you know, asking those direct questions, so important.
And, you know, when you're, you know, when you do these assessments, and, you know, you talk a little bit about, you know, letting the parents know that, you know, the kid might, you know, the child might be struggling. You know, I think one of the things that folks have to remember is this is not about a parenting issue, right, or anything like that. I mean, is that true?
I mean, I think most certainly there's no fault directed to the parent by having your kid be diagnosed with anything, just like you wouldn't fault a parent if they were diagnosed with any specific illness, you know, physical illness. If they have a heart valve defect, it is no fault of the parent. But I do think parents can play a huge role in treatment and recovery. You know, I think if a parent says, oh, you don't need counseling, or is very minimizing, or says like, oh my gosh, like just go exercise or whatever, you know, exercise can be a part of a treatment plan, but it's not the whole plan for somebody who has a brain chemical imbalance or issue that needs addressed on the medical side.
I feel like it's not uncommon for parents to hear that, like, oh, their child has like suicidal thoughts, for them to be like, yeah, no, like I'll just speak to the school counselor. It's fine. No, they're okay. What do you have to say to those parents?
Yeah. You know, I think that the biggest thing is let us all address it, right? There are lots of topics that teachers want parents to talk to. Parents want teachers to talk to them. You know, there's a variety of issues we can think of that they, you know, we all kind of say, isn't it you? But I think if it's all of us, then we can have a more comprehensive approach. And I think that that's a good thing.
Donna wants to know, how do you encourage people to talk about wanting to harm themselves without feeling like an outcast?
Yeah. Donna, is that a question for me? Or is that a question for...
Oh, is that a question for us?
I can tell you what I do. I mean, I can answer it for myself, but I think I have to ask pretty directly. So I think I've gotten journals before that I find to be concerning. And again, I am not a mental health professional. I'm a psychology teacher. I'm not a psychologist. So if I see something like that that I find alarming, or there's a report of abuse, then I absolutely will refer them to guidance. I'm telling them I'm doing it too. I mean, they know they can write anything they want to me, but there are things that I have to report legally. And so I refer that to the mental health professionals. We also have a counselor this year at Taze Valley. Our guidance department and our administration is working hard to try to prioritize. We've lost some students, you know, via mental health battles over the last several years. And so I think our district is making it a priority to think about what we need to do moving forward. And
but I think that's an important point that you make. You don't have to solve the person's problem. Be there for that person and get them to the appropriate help. You know, if someone says, oh my gosh, I'm having heart palpitations, you know, I'm not going to grab a knife and start performing surgery. You know, get them to a hospital. So I think that's, you know, really important what you just said. Listening and being there for them.
Yeah, and I think just saying, you know, hey, this type of language, it makes me nervous. You know that it makes me nervous because you know my story. And immediately I think that they can understand that. You know, I've had, even on Facebook, I've had a couple of people who have mentioned that like in their status, and I immediately will DM them and say, hey, I saw that you said this. Is this something you're really thinking about? You know my story, and basically just saying, if you mean it, let me get you help. And if you don't mean it, it's very insensitive. So I try to just be a resource for people. And I know my family does the same. And it's a unique lens. So
this morning I saw, we had a guest on a couple weeks ago, Hafsa. She's a comedian from LA, and she talked about her struggles with mental health. And this morning she was, and again, she's a comedian, so she put on two big Hulk fist things.
Yeah.
And a box in front of her that was labeled stigma. And she's like, Hulk hates stigma, Hulk hates stigma. And started beating the box up. And that cracked me up. But I mean, can you talk a little bit about the stigma around mental illness?
Yeah. So I think that there's so much more work that we can do. But even in the last year, I've noticed that it's becoming more commonplace to speak about mental health issues and to be open. But it's a battle. It's an uphill battle at this point. And we can do our best to share our stories, to share, you know, people who reach out to us, share their stories. And it does cause a chain reaction, I believe. I think vulnerability breeds more of that. And I think I've worried about that at times. You know, I tell my kids, like, I had postpartum and they were like, why? Like, why would you be sad after you had a baby? And I'm like, right on. I know. I totally get how that could be confusing if you don't know anything about it. Let me help you understand. And I'm just one story. I'm not the textbook, you know, postpartum case. But I think coming from a non-judgmental place back, coming from, oh, you seem curious, let me help increase this understanding, as opposed to, I mean, I could have gotten really bent out of shape about comments like that, but I think that also helps reduce stigma and normalize it. And yeah, I mean, we've definitely faced it, and, you know, comments that have been made or insensitive things that have been said. But I also believe that you are not your diagnosis. You're not your mental health affliction. That's just a part of who you are. And, you know, anxiety can make me really ambitious, and anxiety can make me really productive. So I also think it's a part of who we are, and that's okay.
And that's a big part of 33 Forever, is getting rid of that stigma as well.
Yeah.
Correct?
Oh, yeah. We're, you know, taking off the mask, busting the door down with our realness.
Mm-hmm. What else? I mean, is there anything that, I mean, what, in 5 years, where do you want to see 33 Forever?
Yeah. So I think that this year has taught us that anything can happen, right? We have in the last year just faced really unprecedented times. So I don't have a specific dream, but I do believe that we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to change lives. My like big goal, because my little like government teacher self really wants like to see my parents testifying in DC on behalf of like a major funding, you know, bill. I want some transformative legislation, please, that is broad sweeping in our country, so that states can have the support to give their constituents what they really need to live. And so I'd like to see, you know, Jeff Heck and Donna Heck in some power suits in front of a microphone. Yeah.
Excellent. And we do need that so much.
Yeah.
You know, national, someone told me, well, it was actually a guy that I talked to on a national level. He says that, you know, for suicide, even though it's the 10th leading cause of death in the country, that the federal government, which is trillions and trillions of dollars, you know, their budget, they only put $96 million in for the entire country, which I think is really, you know, kind of alarming. So
yeah, well, ultimately it's killing people because they're not getting the treatment that they need. And if we're going to treat other issues that are not killing people at the rate that, you know, mental illness is, then it's a big issue. Yeah. Donna just said, we make people uncomfortable. And that's a funny thing that I know we faced. You know, it sort of shuts people up. Like people are like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, Danny died, or, oh, your daughter died, or your sister died. Oh, what happened? We're like, oh, well, she died by suicide. And they're like, oh my God. And they like, don't know what else to say. And we're like, we can keep talking, but it is sort of like a table quieter. And we're like, sorry. And I mean, that's also a part of it, is that it is horrible and people know that it's horrible, and we don't want it to happen to anybody else. We don't want any other family to have to speak like that.
One thing that you say, and I know that we here, the three of us, know why that you use that terminology, but I want to like make sure that we point it out just for other people watching, is you say that your sister died by suicide.
Oh yeah, as opposed to commit.
Yes. Can you explain why that is for people who may not? Because I've had so many conversations with people where I have to stop them, and I used to do it too, and I have to like stop them and be like, actually, that's not what you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to people?
Yeah. So I also learned this through this process, that there's always more learning that can be done. And so when we say commit suicide, it sounds like a crime, like you committed this wrong act. And there's a lot of that we've faced as far as like just reactions, that there's a lot of choice involved. And commit has just a sting that is totally different than saying somebody died by suicide. Like you could say you died as a result of your mental health illness. I've had to think about how to speak to my 4-year-old and 2-year-old about this, because Aunt Danny is not alive. And that is because we say that she had a brain attack. So if your chemical imbalance is so significant that you cannot sustain life, I mean, that's the way that I can frame it for them, because I mean, I feel that that kind of dialogue, commit suicide, just implies a level of decision-making and criminal decision-making that we just absolutely we don't roll like that. So it's really sensitive language to speak in that way, to say die by suicide.
And then I think my final question is, how proud of you are of this organization?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really just proud of my family. First, I think that so a lot of us got tattoos with the number 8 after Danny's passing, because there were 8 of us before. And even though there aren't 8 on this planet right now, everything that we do from here on out is because there are 8 of us. And so we all got it in some numerals, some on our wrists, some on our side. And so it's the 8 of us. And I feel her guiding hand, and, you know, we look for little signs. But yeah, I'm really proud of our family first. I'm also really proud of the people who have supported us and spoken up and shared their stories. I think that it's extraordinarily brave. And just because we're doing it, it doesn't mean that other people have to, and they have stepped up and done so. Yeah, I'm so proud of what we've done so far. And I know we can do so much more, but really I'm proud of my family, because this is a pain that is inexplicable. And we've tried to turn that pain into an empowering message, you know, brought to you by our girl.
Well,
what do you think your sister would have to say about all that you guys
I know she thinks we're kicking major rear end. I don't know if I can curse on here, but she would say not rear end. She would say something else. But no, she thinks it's awesome. And Donna calls them Danny bumps, but when you get goosebumps when you're doing the right thing or you're having the right conversation and it like hits just right, like we feel like that's her. We feel good about that. That's sort of like her little blessing. So
love that.
Yeah, our guest last week, his book was Mental Health as an A-Hole, except it wasn't. So, you know, if you curse, I mean, last week was the Howard Stern-esque. I
personally would just love to be able to curse, but like, no.
Well, I'm a high school educator, so I'm used to toning my language way back, so I can handle it.
Well, I am just so. I know that I am proud to, you know, even work with you all just a little bit, and for the work that you're doing, the powerful, powerful message that you have through Danny's story and through the work that you all are doing. I am just really humbled by what you do, and I'm just thrilled that you were able to be on with us today and share so much with us, and even have a little bit of fun and not get mad when I asked what your age was and all that other kind of stuff. So I just really am grateful for what you and your mom and dad and your family is doing, because it is making a difference now, and it is going to save lives. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having us. And we feel equally as excited and honored to team up and to share this message. And we know how important it is, but we're just excited to have the platform here.
Excellent. And my 33 jersey is honestly, it's been, I almost changed it this morning, and my wife, I did go take my wife's car down for something. I was going to change it to the Pete Rose jersey. It's sitting right over there. So
you should just put Pete next to Larry.
I know, but I'm too lazy to put a new hole in my wall.
Oh,
I'm not very handy. But yeah, so 33 is with us right now. So
I know, I'm loving it. I'm like, I love the subtle shout out.
Well, again, thank you so much. Keiko, you got anything?
No, I thought this was great. I love what you guys are doing. I love how you're able to kind of use this in the classroom. I feel like that is so amazing. And just thanks. I'm so excited to meet you virtually.
I know, same. I feel like I've been hearing your names for a while. So I appreciate, I mean, again, like I said, we are so grateful for the work you guys do and for being included. And yeah, it's been wonderful. So thanks so much.
All right. You have a great one. Keep doing the great work you're doing. And 33 forever.
That's right. Oh, love you, Jody.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.